Okay, I didn't see my note to get started. My name is Swihart. I'm the CEO of the Electric Coin Company and the Executive Director of Bootstrap. It's early morning, my time. I'm going to kind of do my best to get. I didn't see my note to get started. My name is Josh. Hold on, I need to mute my machine. I want to spend a little bit of time with you this morning to talk about what ECC is up to, our focus on what's ahead. Before I jump into this, I really want to thank the foundation for putting this on, for Danica and the rest of the team, and all of the cat herding and all the work they've done to make this happen. I talked to Alex a little bit yesterday after the announcement was made to congratulate him, and he talked to me about taking a tone of collaboration and gratitude and looking forward. And so I'm following his lead this morning and saying thank you to the foundation for all your work. Also, thank you to my team, and thank you especially to Tatiana for taking my humble slides and really making them sing. So you'll see that over the course of this presentation. This is what we're going to cover in the next 20 minutes or 25 minutes or so. We'll talk a little bit about what ECC is, our rebirth in 2024, give you a financial update in our position, and then talk about what our plans are for 2025. It's been interesting over the last year or so, as I've kind of been out and I've met new people in the Zcash ecosystem, and I've met new people outside the Zcash ecosystem. And many don't know the story of ECC or even what ECC does. I think there's some familiarity with the foundation because the name is there, because the Zcash Foundation. But what is the Electric Coin Company? For us in 2016, we dared to launch a new form of money, Zcash. So it came from this team. It was like Bitcoin because you didn't have to rely on an intermediary to send money. But it was not like Bitcoin because you didn't have to reveal private details about you, your transactions, or your history. The protocol was the first of its kind, the first time zero knowledge had ever been engineered into software. But at that time, it was computationally intensive and command line driven. So every day since we've launched, we've been working to make it scalable and performant. We've made it faster and we've made it easier to use. Zcash is built for purpose and it functions as it was intended. It's money that we can send around the world in minutes. No one can see it. No one can stop it. Think about how far we've come in just a handful of years. Never in the history of mankind have we had this much power. And soon you'll be able to do it more. You'll be able to store it, pay with it, borrow against it from a mobile phone with a few gestures. No permission necessary. ECC is building this future. ECC is an LLC, but it's wholly owned by a US-based 501c3 nonprofit. We built and launched Zcash in 2016 and have been really kind of the core developer since its launch. That's changing now with the ZF and Zebra and the work that Shielded Labs is doing, but that's been our role since the launch. We launched Zashi in 2024, a best-in-class UX for Zec. We're a team of about 15 people. So we've accomplished a lot in our past, but for ECC, 2024 was a year of rebirth. We went back to our roots when encryption was under attack and the cypherpunks emerged. They understood that private electronic money was central to an open society. They used cryptography and they wrote code. They didn't just talk, they took action and they shipped. One person that took action was Satoshi, and Bitcoin was birthed. He figured out a means to launch a truly decentralized electronic cash, but it didn't have all of the privacy that was needed. Nodes had to be able to validate transactions. And while zero knowledge cryptography had been discovered, making it work in code, that still hadn't been solved. Since that time, the narrative of Bitcoin has changed. Well, it started as centralized or a decentralized peer-to-peer electronic cash that turned into digital gold. And now that digital gold is captured by big money and big banks, the very people it was intended to free us from. The underlying tech, permissionless blockchains, has morphed into all manner of speculative things, some fun, but really just a casino. And maybe the biggest irony is that this very technology that was supposed to free us from kind of these big banks and from tyranny and these kind of global financial powers, they've actually began to enslave us, right? What we've built the walls around us. Every user is tracked, every transaction is traced, block by block. We're building this financial surveillance system with transparent ledgers. And so we revisited our roots in 2024, embracing Eric Hughes' call to action to use cryptography, to write code, to deliver electronic cash, to push onward. So ECC brought Zcash to life, but just as with any life or any new technology, we must continue to push forward. We need to modernize and extend it and evolve it with a rapidly evolving world. And we recognize that the protocol is not enough. We need tools for everyday people to be able to make use of Zcash with ZEC as its token. And that's why we brought Zashi to life this year. We at ECC are building for normies because privacy is normal. We pulled together a description of a stack of capabilities that people need, and we began to ship it. So part of this was delivering electronic cash, and people started using unstoppable private money, and I know that Shielded Labs uses that as their tag, and I'm fully embracing it. I think it's a great description. It's enabled by a privacy-preserving protocol with Zcash in decentralized fashion through a powerful and simple user experiences, which is why we delivered Zashi on top of a vertically integrated stack to support things like payments, cross-chain adoption, swaps, with features that compound capabilities in partnership with a vibrant community, with the intention of giving users power, security, peace of mind, and joy. That stack is not complete. We made great headway in 2024. We got a lot done, but it's just the beginning. We won't do and can't do everything, but we will work and do our part to unlock unstoppable private money. At the center is Zcash with the native token, and then we're unleashing it through a powerful user experience with Zashi. And then Zashi Vault is something that we'd like to build, and I'll talk a little bit about it here in a minute. To do this in 2024, we had to step back first and rethink about what we were doing and what we needed to do in order to drive the success that we wanted. We started an event called ZBoot in January 2024 in Palm Springs. The first thing that we did was commit to shipping code. We knew our window of opportunity was really small. And we needed to move as fast as possible and to ship as much as possible. We recommitted to our mission and made organizational changes internally to accomplish it. Over the course of the year, we confronted the brutal facts, things about like the coin price, what that means for funding and our financial situation, regulatory headwinds, the state of governance, the state of the community. And then we locked in on our hedgehog concept, which is basically the place where we're uniquely equipped to deliver value to the world. We determined that our focus would be on usable digital cash or private payments supported by a privacy-preserving protocol and delivered through a strong privacy UX. That we were, as this team, uniquely equipped to deliver that to the world, and we focused there. We implemented then a culture of discipline to ensure that we could deliver with a product-based mindset, putting users first. And then we began to accelerate, shipping more and more. In terms of a culture of discipline, the core team has been doing this for some time. We've had to. It's the center of everything that we do to ensure that the protocol is private, remains secure, people's money are at stake, and in some cases, people's lives are at stake. So that discipline has been there. and will continue to be there. And I took this list from a post that Strad put in the forum. Is a good kind of summary of things that we do, and I added to it just a little bit. So historically and today, we support Zcash D as a full node, and Zcash D as a wallet. As long as those continue to live in the wild, we will continue to support those things. We support the Zcash protocol spec, heavily involved with zips, with reviews, with editing. We're responsible for those low-level Zcash cryptography crates, and which is basically used by everything in Zcash and the core Zcash Rust crates. We're responsible for the wallet-related Zcash crates. We're building Zalay, the full node wallet. We're doing that today on our own, but we'll welcome other contributions. We built and support the Android and iOS mobile SDKs, Zashi for Android and iOS, and we'll soon support an ECC Zebra D repo. So this is something we encourage anybody to do that is contributing to core. We haven't done this yet, but we will do it. So the intention is to fork the repo, not to be contentious, but to be collaborative. So we'll work on things within our repo, and then we'll collaborate across the community to get things merged appropriately. I wanted to share this with you. This is some of the complexity that the core team deals with. So this is a snapshot of what's called a DAG, which is a kind of it's a directed cyclic graph, I think is what a DAG stands for. But this shows all of the pieces and the dependencies. And I'm just giving you a little bit of snapshot. This one is actually just for Zalay. So it's all new stuff. The core DAG is actually much bigger. And what you see with the bigger shot in the background is actually just a piece of the Zalay DAG. So our core team, our small core team, is keeping track of a lot of little interlocking pieces, working through those things and checking those things off to make sure that we have everything covered. Quite honestly, the complexity of what we do and the rigor in which we do it are on another level. One thing that we didn't have at the outset of the year was good user research, and discipline means to take user feedback and engagement and drive changes in the protocol. We launched the Zashi product and implemented a strong product management discipline this year. It wasn't easy. Our discipline for shipping capabilities in the protocol was different than the discipline needed to ship a user-facing product. So we adapted and delivered. And we measured as best as we could without affecting anybody's privacy. So this is one really powerful example that you can go look at. So thanks to ZecHub for these graphs. After shipping Zashi in 2024, you can see in 2023, it was kind of a year of stagnation, even trailing off. And then since shipping Zashi, the shielded pool has grown by 65%, reaching over 2 million not too long ago. And if you take a look at the orchard pool underneath, since the launch of Zashi, the amount of shielded Zec in the orchard pool grew by almost 500%. In December, late December, it even accelerated a little bit. It accelerated even more. So you can see that tick up coincides with the launch of the Keystone wallet. So it's important that the work that we do makes an impact, makes a real impact. And we can see that impact here. Okay, so this is a bit of an eye chart. So there's a lot that we accomplished in 2024. This is to give you kind of an idea of how much work that was done. And some of this stuff isn't visible, but it sets us up for the future to accelerate even faster. So we delivered Zashi, the most widely Zcash shielded wallet, in 2024 with integrations with Coinbase, Flexa, and Keystone. There's a Zashi session here a little bit later in the day. I hope you'll join us. We delivered a ton of innovation in the protocol, including improvements to sync, partially constructed Zcash transactions, and other innovations that support wallets and our partners' work. We initiated and worked with the community to realize a massive change in governance and funding. and this wasn't easy for ECC, right? It affected our own funding stream and put pressure on us, but we did it in the best interest of Zcash, in the best interest of decentralization, and to hold all of us builders accountable for delivering outcomes. We drove major internal changes in our alignment, how our teams work together, how we engage with the community, how we communicate. We upgraded our systems, financial tools, and accounting teams. And we did this by adding, or in some cases, bringing back some really amazing talent to complement the team that was already here. So it's a lot of change for 1 year. This is what our finances look like for the year. So I'm proud of what we accomplished for the money that we spent. We are we're really terribly understaffed, and compared to other projects, underfunded. We spent, again, about $4.3 million this last calendar year. Most of this went directly to employee and contractor salaries. Some went to legal bills. So, for example, we were under an SEC subpoena that cost me $500,000 in legal fees. There's some other costs associated with restructuring. You can see that about 50% of our money is spent on engineering. We spent $730,000 on growth and regulatory this last year, and then 1.5 mil on general and admin. So where do we stand today? This is our financial position. Bottom line, we have about $4 million in liquid assets today. So, or as of the end of February. Cash is sitting at about $1 million. We have 3.3 million in ZEC. We have 1.1 million in BLD. So BLD is an Agoric token that was from an investment that was made in Agoric, the company, back in 2018. We've been selling those tokens, but there's limited liquidity available. So we have to sell those slowly in order not to tank the market. We also made an investment in Starkware back then. And so we own some Stark tokens as part of that. Those are unlocked over a three-year period. Currently, we're at 1.67% unlocked per month. That doubles in April. We were granted Namada tokens, which I'll talk about here in a sec, but there is no market for those yet. It hasn't launched. The tokens aren't available for trade, so I haven't included a value because I just don't know what it is. So total assets with cash and tokens is 7.5 mil. We incurred debt at the launch of the company back in 16 of 3.5 mil. That was due this last year, but we worked with the note holder to restructure the debt so that we could get on a monthly payment plan. So that puts our total assets and debt at about $4 million. So if we think about where we, what we've spent and where we're going, we've got a current projected runway of 1 year. Our run rate is anticipated to be $4 million, assuming no new hires or new increase in expenses. Currently, we don't generate any income. We get a little bit of staking revenue from BLDs that we stake, but it's trivial. The team that we have is the team that we have, and so core development, security, and marketing roles are on hold currently, and until we can get our funding situation sorted. And we are and will continue to be working with the community on lockbox distribution and a new grant space model. So we've been working on some zips, some ideas on how to move forward, and we'll be working with other organizations in the community to kind of collaboratively push forward with that. So hopefully we get some clarity in the not too distant future. We are working to pause our debt repayment. And as I mentioned, we've got about 4 million in Namada tokens. Those will unlock immediately at the time that they're granted. So we're anticipating a lot of volatility. And again, we just don't know what this means. It could be great. And hopefully it is great, but we just don't know. And then we have been exploring some other options for funding and sustainability. So that's where we are and what we accomplished, but what now? I'm totally co-opting the unstoppable private money from Shielded Labs because it fits so well with our ethos coming out of this delivering on the cypherpunk vision for having electronic money or electronic cash. So to deliver on this, ZEC must be easy to use, and the protocol must scale. It must be secure, and it must be private. It must be accessible via DEXs and cross chains. So we cannot stop, and we cannot get distracted. ECC has too many resources, so we have to focus. For us, now's the time for accelerating, not for kind of withholding and hoping that, you know, money will like come in and waiting to or trying to protect sustainability. We need to continue to push forward. That's what we do. We ship code. When what we ship is rooted in our purpose to deliver electronic cash or unstoppable private money. While our long-term vision is clear, we focus quarter by quarter so that we can be agile and adjust as we need to. I put these themes in here in line with that mission around unstoppable private money because I think it captures, again, the pieces that we need. We need it to be accessible with DEXs and cross chains. We need it to be scalable so that it just works and it's fast. Privacy has to be woven in through everything. And it has to work like money. We need to be able to store it, and we need to be able to use it for payments. So these are some of the things that you can see in terms of our Zashi priorities. Again, the Zashi session is coming up, and we'll go more into our near-term roadmap on that. And then the core team is right now focused really on Zcash deprecation and the full node wallet. So there's nobody more motivated in the ecosystem to deprecate Zcash D than the ECC team, who has to deal with the code base and manage that thing. And so we're working really hard to get that done. And we're working really hard to get that done in the right way, such that it's safe and secure. But we need to get real. So there's been dates that have been put out there for Zcash deprecation. That was first like August, and then October, and now November as best case dates. Those are best case dates, the November. On the engineering side, I do not think it's feasible to get that done by then. I think it's going to take more time. The reason that I think it's going to take more time is because there's an ecosystem component. There's the things that we can't control. We can't control what exchanges do, when they're ready to test, when they're ready to migrate, how comfortable they have to be in order to move their hot wallet from a Zcash D hot wallet to the new Zale hot wallet. And we have to account for that time. So we should push for, and we will continue to push for, the deprecation of Zcash D and the proliferation of Zebra D just as fast as possible, and as safely as possible and as securely as possible. And we shouldn't rush it more than we need to. We do need to move fast, and we do need to move with urgency. But keep in mind, those dates are target dates, and some of that stuff is just, quite frankly, outside of our control. But that is our priority for now. Once we get rid of that Zcash D code base, it's going to allow our core team to accelerate even faster, to be able to do more, which is actually going to unlock capabilities for everybody else across the ecosystem, including our Zashi team. So it's important that we get that done. There's other things that we'll continue to do in terms of ecosystem support. And then there's other things that other people can do to help. So right now, there's not an orchard signing protocol. So theoretically, you could have a smart contract on another chain that's holding a Zcash asset. It's possible to do that with transparent ZEC today. It's not possible to do that with orchard-based assets or DEC and orchard. So there's probably very few people in the world that can work on that circuit and help do that. But that's an area where somebody could dig in. Getting Frost support, we want to get that integrated into wallets to be able to support some things on chain, and then ZSA support. So right now we have not started working on ZSA support in Zale, and we welcome other teams to contribute and be a part of that as well. So we'll continue to focus where we can, and then appreciate other teams being able to lean in as you're able. All right. So the one thing that we're going to talk about is in a little bit here in a couple hours is Zashi Vault. It's not something that we have built yet, but it's something that that we would like to build. So we're currently working on design concepts, and we want to share some of that stuff with you today. So here we are. ECC is reborn, rebuilt, and is committed to ever to unstoppable private money and delivering that to the world. So thank you so much for supporting our work. And from here, we'll move onward. That's it from me for this morning. See if we have some questions. First question is, do you feel that ECC is more or less at risk from regulatory attack from the Trump administration than it was previously? It depends on what you mean by risk. So we don't know yet what this current administration's view is on privacy. I'll tell you, like I met with the Biden White House, and that their view on privacy was not good. They, it felt very much, I've talked about this before, they very much wanted a backdoor or some mechanism for the U.S. government to be able to have access to transaction information on the Zcash blockchain. And they suggested that we figure out how to solve that for them. Obviously that's not something we would or can do, but that was not friendly. And then, as I mentioned before, the SEC thing was not friendly. So I'm more comfortable with the SEC's current set of actions under this administration, but I don't know where this administration sits with respect to private digital cash. One question is, how can the ECC become more involved in regional community work? Invite us in. There's a couple things. One is that Tatiana does a lot of user research. And so if there's work that you're doing within communities, it'd be great to kind of learn more about the people working or in those communities, what their needs are. Like download Zashi, try it out, give us the feedback. Is stuff working? Is it not working for people? As far as evangelism, we're not equipped to do that kind of evangelism, but if you're out there in the community in your various regions, then we would love to come alongside you, kind of again, and understand the needs of those communities. All right, that's all the questions I think I have. I think that's all the time I have. I appreciate everybody's time. I hope you have a great rest of the day. We'll talk to you soon.